live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Great to be with you. Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Thursday, September the 14th. Going in depth tonight yet again on the 8 passengers case that has taken over basically our coverage here on 2 News Live over the last week or so. Lincoln Graves joins us here on the program tonight, looking into some financial history with Ruby Franke and her business. Also Brian Malahy from Southern Utah, what he was talking about and gathering down there today. I say down there because that is the focus of our court hearing that takes place on Monday in Washington County. As we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us during the show. Very easy to do so. Just use the hashtag 2 News Live or find us on the socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Is it still called Twitter? We're on the X, we're on Instagram, we're everywhere. Send us a direct message on any of those platforms there to weigh in. We'll be sure to get to you. Going in depth tonight, we're learning new details about the YouTube influencer now facing child abuse charges. Public records show that Ruby Franke received more than $80,000 in PPP loans during the pandemic. Lincoln Graves live on this story for us tonight. Lincoln, what did you find out today about these loans?
Yeah, Brian, so these were PPP loans handed out during the pandemic. For anyone who may have forgotten, that was the Paycheck Protection Program. It was really designed to help businesses, for the most part, pay employees during periods of shutdown. Now, the basic rules for applying for these was you had to be a business smaller than 500 people. So content creators, influencers, there were no rules that said they couldn't do this, so they were able to do this. We have found no indication that Ruby Franke did anything wrong or violated the rules in doing this. She got 2 loans total over a period of about a year and a half. Each of those loans totaled about $42,000. Now, on her application, it listed 2 employees for her production company. That was 8 Passengers Productions LLC. That, of course, shares the same name with her very popular YouTube channel that was up for a while called 8 Passengers. So those are some of the basic details that we've learned about those 2 loans, Brian. Unclear at this point exactly what she used that money for.
Lincoln, what stands out to you after looking into this today? Did you come away with any further questions? Did any of those questions get answered? What gives in terms of the PPP?
Yeah, you know, obviously when people hear this, it does raise some eyebrows, and that's natural. I spoke to a woman who runs a PR firm here in the Salt Lake area. Basically, she said, look, I understand how this does raise some eyebrows. If you're looking at the charges she faces, you are thinking, okay, if she's facing charges here and then you see this application for government loans, what perhaps is she using that money for? Could she face charges in that regard? Those are some of the natural questions that people could have. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that she did anything wrong in applying for those loans, but it certainly raises eyebrows. And of course, people may have their eyebrows raised when they think of content creators, perhaps taking advantage of these programs. For example, you know, what was Ruby Franke doing at that time? Couldn't she still work if she's doing content from home during the pandemic? Why would she need this type of a loan? The PR person I spoke to said, well, you have to think about potential scenarios. For example, maybe she had a big enough following where she was getting a lot of sponsorships, and during the pandemic, some of those sponsorships fell out. So that is one possible scenario, but she definitely recognized that people may have questions and they may think twice when they see this news. Brian.
Lincoln, taking a look into this for us today. Thank you very much. New today, 2 News has confirmed that Jody Hildebrandt's license was on probation for an 18-month period. That would be Jody right here. The documents show that Jody's license to practice as a clinical mental health counselor in Utah was on probation from January 2012 to August 2013, so about a year and a half. This stems from our previous reporting where our Amanda Gilbert spoke to a man named Adam Steed who claimed that Jody Hildebrandt shared confidential information about him to others without his consent. This was reporting on 2 News Live earlier this week. The documents from the Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing outlines that Jody discussed sensitive information about a John and Jane Doe with clergy members who knew the two, as well as other mental health therapists without authorization. I looked through these documents today. It also confirms Steed's mention of discussing his medical diagnosis with administrators at a university here in Utah, which Steed says BYU. After reading the documents, I can tell you the document does not specify the name of the university, but it does line up with his account. The document says the disclosure of this information was detrimental to Steed and not in his best interests. According to these documents, Jody admitted that her conduct was unprofessional and justified disciplinary action against her license. Also outlined stipulations where Jody could practice during this probationary period. It includes things like supervision, completing coursework, so 4 hours of continuing professional education focused on ethics, confidentiality, and dual relationships. I want to tell you these documents were 12 pages long. I did my best to paraphrase. You can find it on our website, KUTV.com. All right, Southern Utah. The children of Ruby Franke are a main concern. It's where police recovered emaciated kids. The mom vloggers were arrested, where they remain in Washington County Jail right now. Brian Malahy is with us. He spent the day in Southern Utah. Brian, looks like you're still where the sun is shining. What did residents in Southern Utah say about this case? I know you spoke to some outside of a gathering there in St. George today. What did they tell you?
Yeah, it was a joyful gathering. This was a gathering to celebrate a new structure, a new Washington County administration building, a $24 million structure, and there was a dedication of that building today. And in that crowd, we found a couple of moms, one who grew up in Santa Clara, and she is not living in the area now, but she is back for this event today, and also had a lot of thoughts about what is going on with the Franke Hildebrandt case. And she told me, look, they're shocking the community. She grew up here. It's a very close community. It's family oriented. She felt safe there. It's the place that's so familiar. And that when a case like this happens, it affects all of us. Those are her words. I also spoke to another woman who has 4 children between the ages of 3 and 11. She's a mom. She's married to a physician in Southern Utah. They've been living there for about 3 years. And she is saying, look, Southern Utah has resiliency. It's been through a lot of issues. Of course, we've reported on many of them, right? The FLDS situation, Warren Jeffs, lost boys, those boys who were kicked out of the polygamous communities and ended up in St. George. And then, of course, the natural disasters that have hit there, including homes falling into the river. I mean, it's just, there have been some very dramatic things that have happened there. But she says, look, St. George is resilient, but this could be a wake-up call for people to be more attentive, more alert, more able to spot where trouble might happen. So those are a couple of the people that I spoke with on camera today. I also spoke to another woman who told me, look, she's been covering this, following this story very carefully, and she says she thinks that the issues go deeper than just a couple, as quote, as she put it, crazy women. That she thinks that there are deeper institutional issues that are at play here, and urges the press, including us, to look into them a little bit further. So, this was a very happy situation, very happy celebration today, but on the minds of a lot of people still, this very egregious allegation of child abuse by 2 moms. Brian?
Well, Brian, the claims of perhaps institutional findings or issues, others have raised those claims too, so I think we do have some things perhaps to look into. Right. Just quickly, you were also in Ivins. Ivins is a beautiful area. There is the neighborhood where you were, the homes are kind of spread apart. There's that beautiful desert landscape, but it seemed pretty quiet today. Anything stand out to you outside of basically where all of this went down? That's where the official 911 call, the first call came in from the neighbor's house, and obviously that's where Jody Hildebrandt lives. So was there any sort of indication of some activity there today?
Not at the Hildebrandt house, absolutely not. No coming or going, and we weren't there for a long time, but it looked like no one was living at the home. There was a sign that was stuck on the garage door that said no trespassing, and we saw a couple of private property no trespassing signs on other property as well. Got a better sense as to kind of the the geography there. So this is in Kayenta, and in Kayenta they have those single story, those very low profile homes, so everybody gets a great view of Red Mountain, right? I mean, that really is the idea, not to spoil the view for anybody. But they are magnificent structures, and it's a beautiful community. So from the Hildebrandt house, it appears that, as police say, the boy that got out of the window went to a neighbor's house. Well, it looks like he passed by a couple of homes to get to the neighbor's house that finally called 911. Now, maybe he knocked on the door of those other properties, we don't know. But that house was not the closest one, so that was a bit of a surprise for me, not seeing the topography until today. But he got to that house. We, of course, tried to contact those homeowners there, left a message on the Ring doorbell, haven't heard anything back yet. I spoke to another neighbor who had been out of the state when this initially happened, when the arrests were made and the children were found, and he shared the same kind of response that I think everybody in Utah and across the country is sharing as a result of this case, and that is just, this is horrific, and it's so sad, and really concerned about the kids. That's what we heard, time and again today in southern Utah is, it's not about this, it's really what's happening to those children. We heard some things that we are not reporting about at least one of the children today. We couldn't confirm it, so I'm not going to say what it is, but we'll look into it a little bit further and see if we can run down some more details. It has to do with his status right now. So I leave it at that. You're right, it's a beautiful area, and it's the last place you would expect that some children were starving. It just, that's not the kind of place this is.
Brian Malahi live for it tonight. Brian, you're right at the root of this. This is all about children, allegations made against the actions against children, and that's what tugs at the heartstrings. Thank you for your coverage tonight. New this evening, another one of Ruby Frankie's sisters speaking out on the situation involving Ruby and Jody Hildebrandt. And just like Ruby's sister Bonnie, Ruby's other sister Julie also posting a video on YouTube. Remember, this is a family of vloggers with large followings on their channels. This is some of the video. Julie posted it on her Daru Crew Vlogs page. Has about 225,000 subscribers. She talks about not needing to defend herself, not getting too deep into the weeds about this. She does talk about a sudden split from Ruby and brings up Jody Hildebrandt. Listen.
3 years ago, Ruby, everything was great. It seemed to be fine anyway. We were a typical family. She was getting some therapy counseling because their family needed it, which I think is great. However, I think you need to get it from a great source. Read the reviews. Jody Hildebrandt and her website or therapy style, I don't know what you want to call it, connections, was not a great resource, and we all saw it. We all felt weird about this Jody lady. We weren't comfortable with it. We didn't like it. We didn't like the teachings Ruby was bringing to the family functions, and we were this close to telling her, if you come to our family events anymore, we do not want to hear what you were learning through connections because we don't like it. We never did say that to her, but we thought it. Anyway, so 3 years ago, Ruby and I hung out bottling tomatoes, and then a few weeks later, crap hit the fan and she left the family. And she didn't even call me to say, hey, Julie, you're doing this and this, I don't like it, you're living your life in distortion, so I'm gonna have to take some time away from you. No, literally nothing.
Julie then goes into how Ruby lied about her life and removed herself from certain family and friends. Julie says she tried to get in touch with Ruby, but she would not respond.
I was very fortunate to have been able to reach out to her daughter Sherry once she was an adult, and we were able to form a really close, strong relationship, which I am grateful for. And it was then that I learned more about Ruby, and it was then that Sherry had learned about lies that had been told to her. I feel like me and my other sisters have said, we feel like we've just been kind of floating on a cloud here these past few weeks. We are in complete shock still as to what she had done because we had no idea of what was happening. Basically, I'm here to say that I had no idea what was happening. Like Bonnie mentioned in her video, we are not going to let Ruby destroy another thing in our lives.
So you notice there's some gaps in the video. We would call this a spliced video, right? This is how I describe it to people. A raw interview, you can hear the breaths, you can hear the moments in between those things. These were kind of thoughts spliced together. Finally, Julie shares why they use their social media platform. She says she tries to bring positivity and light into other people's lives, and that is why they didn't talk about Ruby for about 3 years in their content. She also said they wanted to show the highs and the lows of family and parenting every day, but that Ruby was not supposed to be part of that content, and quote, "It was none of your business," she said to everybody. After seeing this video, I did try to reach out to Julie to see if she'd speak with me today. She said in this video she's moved. I tried to get in touch with her nearly a week ago as well to get her side of things as this continues to obviously impact their family. No response. So I did try to get to the family today, but let's talk to you about how we've been getting into this over the last week or so. We have talked more about this on our website, KUTV.com. I invite you to take away some of our coverage on there. As always, we've been going in depth on this on 2 News Live as well. So if you've missed any of our programming, you can find it on our YouTube page. Just go to the live section. That's where you can find all of our programs. All right, let's go to weather now because there are spots in the state here where there's a little green on the radar, but man, I feel like Salt Lake's just been getting the good stuff.
Yeah, we've been getting some nice weather and the storms are fizzling. There's still a few more out there tonight, but 80 degrees in Salt Lake City, 76 in Ogden, Provo 76. It doesn't get much better than that.
I like this.
Yeah,
I like this.
It's beautiful September weather. Fine, nothing like last year's September weather. So let's go to the forecast and show you what we've got going on. And there isn't a lot going on other than a great weekend coming. But you look at the clouds there and you say, wait a minute, Sterling, it looks like there's a lot going on there. Well, there is a lot of cloud cover. And there are a few storms, and we reveal that with the radar, but you can see that most of this is moving toward the south here. This is moving toward the east. Let's put the radar on it. We'll show you what we were talking about. You can see that there's some showers and storms, mainly to the west of St. George. Those were now taking a more southerly track, so they may miss St. George altogether. And you can see there's not a lot going on. However, radar coverage down here, I'll just tell you right now, is not great. But near Moab here, there's a few showers off to the east. We've had a few storms up around the Uinta Basin, and the northwestern part of the state from Delta north is seeing some beautiful weather this evening. So temperatures tonight down to 45 in Cedar City, 61 in St. George, 44 up in Logan, and how about that 36 in Ely, Nevada, 44 in Rock Springs. Highs tomorrow definitely are going to be up in the 70s and 80s. We'll show you that in a second. Here's future track for the next 18 hours or so. You can see everything kind of just disappears, except for some showers around the Four Corners area through about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll continue to see that, but then the state clears out. It's lots of 70s, some 60s for highs tomorrow, 82 in Ogden and 88 in St. George. It just doesn't get much better than that. Oktoberfest, here we go. Saturday, 63, Sunday, 64. We'll call it sunny to mostly sunny skies, but you will want to take a jacket if you're going up there, because as soon as that sun drops down, it gets chilly in a hurry with temperatures dropping down into the 50s and 40s. So just keep that in mind. Lake Powell, 82, Utah Lake, 75, Jordanelle, 69, Bear Lake, 71, sunshine, lots of it tomorrow. As you head into the weekend, it should be pretty nice, but as we move a little bit farther out, you can see that September 20th, which is next week, we'll see below normal temperatures across most of Utah, or at least a chance, there's a higher chance that we'll see below normal temperatures. Lots of warm temperatures across the Great Lakes area. Above normal precipitation, chances are great of that across the northern plains and even down into Oklahoma. And boy, they desperately need it because it's been really dry across Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas. There's a big drought going on there. Below normal precipitation across Arizona, and for Utah we do have slightly, slightly above normal precipitation outlook. I hope I'll make it through this. 88 goes to 91, 93 on Sunday, 93 on Monday, and we'll see those overnight lows in the 60s. And for Salt Lake City, we've got those temperatures right there in the, well, we'll call it perfect zone. Perfect zone for the next 7 days. We do maybe have a chance of some cooler weather next weekend.
Hey, you made it through. I was almost going to come over there and just walk. You could do that. I was going to walk in.
You know how you get a tickle in your throat?
And a little wave.
You can't stop. You got to just deal with it.
You've got that 3 or 4 minute chunk right there sometimes where it's just go for it. The real highlight from this is obviously the sunshine, looking into a really nice weekend.
Yep. But watch out for next week. There's maybe some changes coming.
All right, well,
keep you posted
we've
on
got
that.
a couple days to get there. Thank you,
Yep,
Sterling.
you bet.
As always, thanks for watching 2 News Live. We appreciate you. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. Sorry, won't see you tomorrow, but I think Heidi will be here for your Friday edition of 2 News Live.
Might be golfing or something.
Well,
I don't
it
know.
might be on the, see ya on Monday. Take care.